Alistair Thorne wasn't invisible in the physical sense. He could navigate crowds, order steaming mugs of coffee at cafes, and even catch the occasional admiring glance, though those were becoming increasingly rare these days. No, Alistair's invisibility was far more insidious, a shroud woven from rejection and forgotten dreams. He was a writer, or rather, an aspiring one. His desk overflowed with crumpled pages, each one a battlefield where his hopes had clashed with harsh reality. Countless rejection slips lined the bottom drawer, testaments to the graveyard of his ambitions. The words he poured onto the page, stories he believed in with every fiber of his being, were met with a deafening silence, a lack of recognition that gnawed at his soul. Alistair wasn't alone in his struggle, but that knowledge offered scant comfort. The dingy apartment building housed a menagerie of dreamers, artists clinging to the fringes of success. There was Maya, the aspiring ballerina whose body now creaked with past injuries, and Edward, the sculptor whose once vibrant creations had become repetitive, a reflection of his own dwindling inspiration. Their shared desperation formed a brittle camaraderie, a support system built on whispered encouragements and shared bottles of cheap wine. One evening, as Alistair drowned his sorrows in a potent concoction of instant coffee and despair, a flyer caught his eye. It advertised a writing workshop, led by a renowned author, Evelyn Thorne. Her name sent a jolt through him. Evelyn Thorne, the woman who'd penned the novels that had ignited his own passion for storytelling. A sliver of hope, fragile as a spiderweb, flickered within him. The workshop was held in a dusty attic room above a bookstore. Alistair found himself amidst a throng of aspiring writers, their faces etched with a mixture of nervousness and hope. Evelyn Thorne, however, wasn't what he expected. Gone was the glamorous literary figure he'd envisioned. In her place stood a woman with weary eyes and a kind smile, lines etched around her mouth that spoke of countless battles fought with the blank page. The workshop wasn't about flowery prose or intricate plot structures. It was about honesty, about bearing the soul on the page. Evelyn Thorne spoke of the sting of rejection, the frustration of a story that refuses to be born. For the first time in a long time, Alistair didn't feel invisible. He saw a reflection of himself in the struggles of others, and in Evelyn's unwavering belief in the power of storytelling. Alistair started writing again, not with the desperate hope of getting published, but for the sheer joy of it. He poured the experiences of his own invisibility into his characters, creating a world where the ignored and overlooked found their voices. The rejection slips kept coming, but they didn't sting as deeply anymore. He was writing for himself, for the quiet satisfaction of crafting a world with his words. One day, a call came. A different voice on the other end, one that brimmed with excitement, not the sterile politeness of rejection emails. It was a small literary magazine, but it was acceptance nonetheless. Alistair's story, a tale of a struggling artist in a rundown apartment building, resonated with the editor. It was raw, honest, a mirror reflecting the lives of countless dreamers clinging to their passions. The publication wasn't a meteoric rise to fame, but it was a crack in the wall of invisibility. Soon, another publication followed, then another. Alistair's voice, however quiet, started to reach others. The journey was far from over, but he was no longer walking it alone. The invisible writer, through his stories, was starting to be seen. One evening, Maya, Edward, and the rest of the building's residents gathered in Alistair's cramped apartment. A copy of the magazine lay open on the table, his story emblazoned on the page. This time, the tears he shed were not of despair, but of shared joy. They weren't invisible either. In their own quiet ways, they were all storytellers, their lives a testament to the enduring human spirit. And Alistair, the once invisible writer, was their chronicler, their voice in the world. The path ahead remained uncertain, but together, beneath the flickering light of a single bulb, their fragile hopes cast a warm glow, illuminating the possibility of a future where their unique voices would finally be heard.